Hello and welcome to Commercial Aviation. In this episode, we will explore some fascinating facts and possible comeback of Boeing 747. It may be planned for the Boeing 747, sometimes known as the Queen of the Skies, to return to its rightful place. Although carriers haven't exactly favored this fan-favorite aircraft for more than 5 years, that is all set to change. This is due to the possibility that the Boeing 747, which is renowned for having revolutionized the aviation business, could soon receive some significant upgrades. These upgrades are preparing the aircraft for what would be a huge comeback following years without a single passenger program. Now let's get started. Because of its enormous size, the 747 was unlike anything else in history and could transport a record number of people, which reduced the cost of individual flights. It was able to travel across continents with ease. This was made possible by the 747's 4 engines. It's critical to realize that, like the Boeing 707, the 747 was originally meant for military use and was built with the capability to be transformed into a freighter. However, carriers concluded that the 747 was a good option for long-haul commercial travel due to changes in market demands, particularly as a result of the rise in commercial flights. This was especially the case for the second variant, the 747-200, which had superior engines that allowed it to reach an even higher range and better payload. Because it provided carriers with additional alternatives that they had never really had before, this second variation was very significant. Carriers now have the choice of providing both passenger and cargo transport, or they can reconfigure the seats to convert the aircraft into a full freighter. It offered something special to carriers that opted for the 747. They were able to optimize their earnings and maintain flexibility in response to changing market conditions. The 747 was dubbed the Queen of the Skies because of this. But as technology developed at a breakneck speed, the Queen of the Skies would have to fight to save her throne. As engine development technology advanced, manufacturers were able to obtain more potent engines, resulting in a decrease in the quantity of engines required to power their aircraft. Regardless of their popularity, aircraft like the 747 were quite heavy and very inefficient in terms of cost and fuel since they had 4 engines. Additionally, they increased pollutants and noise, neither of which was good for the environment. The introduction of 2-engine aircraft, such as Boeing's 777, and the implementation of new ETOPS regulations signaled the beginning of the end for the 747. This is because, although being lighter, more fuel-efficient, economical, and ecologically friendly, the dual-engine aircrafts were able to travel almost the same distance as the 747. That's not all, though. As dual-engine aircraft were small enough to directly access airports, that would have been impossible for the 747s to reach. Additionally, the 747 nearly met its demise when new ETOP regulations were implemented, allowing dual-engine aircraft to operate on a single engine for a brief amount of time. The quadjets in general. We say that because the 747 encountered less competition in one particular area of aviation travel. This has really maintained them in the air to this day, and it appears that it is preparing the 747 for a significant comeback. You know, the 747 was originally designed to fulfill a need that was now profitable in the aviation industry. Cargo hauling was the goal, and it prepared the 747 for a huge resurgence. The 747 soon became a favorite for cargo transportation when carriers like Lufthansa learned they could modify their aircraft cabins to fit whatever requirements the market required. This was because of its enormous size and unique design, which made it more capable of accepting cargo than the majority of rival aircraft. Many carriers use their passenger capacity to create more cargo room since the nose door loading feature made it easier to load and unload very heavy goods. Boeing saw this tendency swiftly and in 2005 unveiled the 7478F, a new freighter model. Compared to its predecessor, the 7474, the 7478F had a 16% higher payload, which allowed it to carry 7 more conventional air cargo containers. Although the COVID-19 epidemic had a negative impact on passenger travel, there was a spike in demand for cargo planes, Therefore, Boeing made a brilliant decision with this move. This is primarily because the fastest method to move items between nations was by air, and e-commerce development reached previously unheard of heights while most people were cooped up in their homes. And what better means of accomplishing this than by use of cargo planes? We hear you asking, what about sea freight at this point? Does this not cost less than air freight? Yes, you are correct in that regard. But the thing is, the epidemic severely disrupted the maritime supply network, and it didn't help that a container ship closed the Suez Canal, one of the vital waterways in the system. Regardless of how unfavorable these experiences were to others, they were all a huge positive boost. Before the pandemic, several carriers were either retiring or grounding their 747s, giving the impression that the aircraft was in complete decline and that the Queen of the Skies was in serious decline. However, several airlines have started dusting off their 747 fleet since online shopping gained such popularity and either leasing them to carriers who specialize in that area or utilizing them themselves for cargo delivery. However, in spite of all these benefits, the 747 continues to have problems with noise, carbon emissions, fuel consumption, and other concerns. This has always hampered the aircraft's advancement and will do so in the future. What, therefore, can Boeing do to guarantee that the 747 is put to good use and doesn't simply disappear into thin air? After 50 years of manufacturing, the 747 was finally discontinued this year, with the last 7478 being delivered to Atlas Air in January 2023. Therefore, even if it appears like Boeing has given up on the 747, it doesn't mean the aircraft can't still have a role in the aviation industry. Indeed, it has already done so in a number of ways. The Air Force stated in January 2015 that the 7478 will replace the VC-25A as Air Force One. In 2018, the White House signed a contract for the creation of 2 new 7478 intercontinental-based aircraft, which are scheduled to be delivered by December 2024. In addition to its military applications, governments also find the 747 to be quite attractive. As seen by the ownership of government 747-8 intercontinental aircraft by Kuwait, Morocco, Saudi Arabia, and Brunei, among other nations. There have previously been talks within Boeing on potential strategies to increase the 747's competitiveness. Various approaches have been contemplated, including enhancing the fuel efficiency of the 747's engine, streamlining flight paths, and investigating novel fuel alternatives. There have also been suggestions for improved technologies to help with safety, communication, and navigation, among other things. All of these are excellent ideas, but the 747 is still a quadruple jet, so persuading airlines to risk taking on 2 additional engines for passenger flights will definitely require some work. Therefore, Boeing would need to accomplish something really unique if they were to carry out its intentions to enhance the 747s. However, it is quite doubtful that this will occur anytime soon, as they are probably now preoccupied on producing the 777X. Carriers could also use their grounded 747S as a kind of time capsule to remind people of the aircraft that once ruled the skies and defined a generation for the aviation industry. Should the 747 fail to find a sustainable niche outside of cargo transportation or government use. The fact that more than 1/4 of the 747 lineup is still in use more than 50 years after it was introduced is evidence of the aircraft's genius and versatility. This demonstrates that the airplane isn't actually making a comeback. It has never really left. But do you believe that, in terms of passenger trips, the 747 might ever return to prominence? Or is it destined to carry government personnel and cargo? Kindly leave your remarks in comments section.